evening, everyone. To all members of the media or supporters here with us, distinguished guests, fellow citizens of Barbados, I welcome you to our second official press conference of the new National Party. We are grateful for your presence and we recognize that in time when truth and leadership is scarce and uncertainty is high, your attention and engagement means everything. Just a few weeks ago, we stood here to introduce the new National Party. Action. Members of our shadow cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the political leader of the new National Party, Mr. Kimar Stewart. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? There have been some so please bear with us. This is technology, and we're having a long delay about please thank you very much. Can't hear nothing.
If I on this way,
Top five noise getting through. Everybody's picking up your noise policies. Picking all that. Good evening, everyone. To all members of the media or supporters here with us, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens of Barbados. I welcome you to our second official press conference of our new national. We are grateful for your presence, and we recognize that in time when true leadership is scarce and uncertainty is high, your attention and engagement means everything. Just a few weeks ago, we stood here to introduce the new national party to Barbados. A moment built on not politics as usual, but the purpose, accountability, and the belief that Barbados deserve better. We said then that we are serious, and today we are showing the country that we are building step by step. A government in waiting. Today's press conference is about action and commitment. As chairman, it is my honor to formally introduce the political leader of the new national party, a man who is committed, capable, and ready to lead. He is someone who has already demonstrated his ability to connect with the people and speak the truth to power. But this press conference is more than symbolic. It's a substantive because today our political leader will also present to the country a team of individuals who will serve as our shadow ministers. Persons who are not only passionate about normal service, but who will play a central role in holding the current administration accountable and prepared to serve this country with integrity and vision. So, with further delays, it gives me great pleasure to invite our political leader, Mr. Kimar Stewart, to address you and introduce the members of our shadow cabinet.
good afternoon, Barbados. Good afternoon to one and all. First, let me apologize for the lengthy delay. We had some issues with the technology, and therefore we are here now. So let me first acknowledge the Sabbath day of the week as we pay our respects to the Sabbath day Adventists and the Christian community. It is also the Eid season for the Muslims, so we wish them all the best as well. First, let me say thank you to all of the members of the new National Party for continuously putting the effort in. The more we get this message out, the better for Barbados. So we're asking everybody to like and share the platform this evening so that we can get this message out to Barbados. Why we are here this evening? We're here to, as the chairman said, introduce some new personnel to the new National Party. So, to introduce who will be our new shadow ministers of government, because we'll be having a shadow cabinet. Our new shadow ministers of government are as follows. We have Mr. Jelani Dotting, who would be the shadow minister for agriculture and blue economy. We have Ms. Natalie Paris, who will be the Shadow Minister for Education and Wellness. We have Ms. Enlu Freer, who would be the spokesperson for community empowerment and environment. And we have Mr. Shegori, who will be Shadow Minister for Sport. And as you know, it would, as leader of the party, it will shadow the economy and governance at large. So I first like to congratulate those persons who willfully volunteered to put their hands up to represent the new national party as we move forward. This requires a team effort, and therefore having these persons on board is critical, as we did promise to deliver a new generation with new ideas to take Barbados forward. I would like to also deal with a further in-house issue, and that is the NNP luncheon happening on the 15th of June. That is Sunday, Father's Day. We want to ask you all to come and support the luncheon. It'll be happening at Prerogative House at Prerogative St. George. And we're asking all persons to come up and support this luncheon. It is a fundraising event. So many persons may be asking if the NNP has the funds, if we have the money, where we're getting money from. The new national party is seeking to hold a fundraising event on Father's Day. So therefore, we're open to donations, we're open to support in full transparency, and we're urging you to come out and support the party at the luncheon in celebration of the fathers. We really appreciate your support. So that is it for in-house issues. I want to touch on some national issues this afternoon. And one national issue that is plaguing me and bothering me as the leader of the new national party is the fact that the NNP put out a press release about the ambassador for climate change and for the law of the seas. We put out an entire press release and a statement. However, the press did not release the press release. So therefore, I want to reiterate the points that were made in this press conference, or this press release, sorry, about financial irregularities that we as a party discovered happening with the Deputy President of the Senate, who is also the ambassador for climate change. So listen as follows. Transparency is key to good governance, and the issue of transparency has yet again stumped the government of Barbados, as questions need to be asked about the suspicious and irregular findings within the financial operations of the posts of climate change and laws of the seas, and the office holder being Deputy President of the Senate, Elizabeth Thompson. Now, the new National Party made a claim that no historical record of expenditure can be found for the ambassador's post for the years of 2021 to 2024. And no record of expenses can be found within the Prime Minister's office or within the head for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So therefore, there is no way possible to track the expenses occurring within the office since it has been established in 2021. Now, the ambassador for climate change and laws of the seas has been allocated $408,000 in financial year 2024 to 2025. However, for 2025 to 2026, that figure mysteriously and alarmingly increased to $1.2 million. So this irregular increase should be red flag, no pun intended, as a tripling of the budget allocated to the office headed by the Deputy President of the Senate, Elizabeth Thompson. And this irregular increase to $1.2 million, up from $408,000, is driven by an $800,000 increase in allocation in the operating expenses of the office for the ambassador for climate change. Now, since Mr. Donald Trump came to power, Barbados and its climate mission just took a nosedive. So we don't see all the fancy trips anymore. We don't see all the big speeches about climate change and all the big climate activities, but still we are seeing a massive $800,000 increase in expenses for the office for the ambassador for climate change. Now, if somebody could show me $800,000 worth of work happening from the deputy president, I'd be happy to say, okay. Unless you could show me, the people of Barbados should be allowed the transparency to recognize when serious discrepancies are happening and to basically recognize when the government is feeding its family and friends, especially in the times of hardship, when many Barbadians cannot afford to eat in this country. One person, meaning the deputy president of the Senate, is getting an $800,000 increase. So we flag that. And we ask the media to carry the story and stop attempting to cover up the financial irregularities that were discovered in the Office for Climate Change. Let us move on. Now, on the topic of climate change and climate resilience. One second, Mr. Chairman. So, as I was saying, now I'm on the topic of climate change. The way the government of Barbados, and particularly the Ministry of Finance in Barbados, has gone about docking, cutting, reducing, slicing, whatever word you want to use to describe it, is absolutely illegal. It is wicked. It is treasonous. And it is draconian. The way the government cut people's salaries to obtain a resilience and regeneration fund, what was once known to be the catastrophe fund. And I'm going to repeat that again. It is illegal. And I challenge the government and the Ministry of Finance on the legality of cutting the people of Barbados' pay to replenish this so-called resilience and regeneration fund. So let us take Mr. Ryan Strawn on a trip down memory lane, because he forgot that this year when he gave the budget presentation, he said a couple of things. But before we get into what he said, let us go down memory lane. How did the catastrophe fund, which is now being recalling or renamed the Resilience and Regeneration Fund, how did it become broke in the first place? Right? How did it become broke in the first place? The catastrophe fund had $50 million in it before COVID. The catastrophe fund had $50 million in it before COVID. During COVID, the Prime Minister of Barbados announced that companies and businesses registered to pay VAT or value-added tax, and they can prove that their cash flow was severely disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have implemented the measures to contain the so-called outbreak, that these businesses are being given a financial bailout in the form of a new $40 million VAT loan fund. This VAT loan fund will offer 12-month interest-free loans to help businesses buttress their cash flow. And the businesses with a turnover of $200,000 are supposed to be the benefactors of this VAT loan fund worth $40 million. Okay. The amount that may be borrowed by these eligible businesses is 50% or half of the amount they paid in their last VAT filing. And this payment was supposed to be happening before COVID. The Prime Minister said that this VAT loan fund will be capitalized by taking the money from the catastrophe fund, which is now called the Resilience and Regeneration Fund, to finance the VAT loan fund, which means that the government gave away $40 million worth of taxpayers' dollars to businesses during COVID, and now they're cutting the salaries of the population to replenish the fund, as opposed to going after the businesses who would have borrowed the money interest-free and are not paying it back up to today. So I tasked Mr. Ryan Strong, who was speaking about resilience, and the Ministry of Finance to go and check the laws of Barbados so that you can recognize that the act of illegally cutting people's salaries to replenish a fund that had $50 million in it, and you took that money and you gave it to businesses. So you take a VAT loan fund for interest-free loans, and today you are talking the people's salaries as opposed to going after the businesses who borrowed the money in the first place. That is modern day piracy. And the people of Barbados should stand up against this illegal act of a salary cut, having to financially bail the government in the name of resilience. That is treasonous. And I challenge Mr. Ryan Strong on the legality of cutting the people of this country's salary. On top of that, the Provisional Collection of Taxes Act in Barbados says that any taxes raised and are set to be collected in the budget are to be sent to the consolidated fund. However, this money is being collected by national insurance and being funneled straight to national insurance. It's not coming to the consolidated fund. So from that basis, it continues to be an illegal tax, a hidden tax on the people of Barbados. So I am asking any attorney who has the balls or the gustos to step up to fight this case for the people of Barbados on the legality of the government cutting people's salaries and charging us resilience and regeneration tax after they have bailed out big businesses with the people's money and are now robbing and raping the people to fill up a fund that they allow businesses to fleece. Now, the Barbados Revenue Authority, which is an entity without a CEO, they were the ones who administered this VAT loan fund. So therefore, a list of all of the businesses who would have benefited from this VAT loan fund is readily available at back. So you don't have to go too far to look for the list of names, and you don't have to go too far to look for the amounts these businesses owe. It is right there. And Mr. Brian Strong should collect that information and publish a list of all businesses who borrowed that money and have not paid it back, but still you're fleecing the people. I would also go on to say here on this next issue, which is the issue of the Afrexim Bank. Now, the reputational risks that may plague Barbados could be very damaging. And extreme caution should be taken in proceeding with the bank, as their headquarters is set to be built on what people call a giveaway of land at General's Lane. But from a technical perspective, this land gift or the giveaway to the bank was set to improve the Afrexim Bank's balance sheet, and it would allow the bank to have an asset value at X amount of millions without having an overall reduction in available cash, and it will also compensate for any reductions on the loans receivable or what they could collect because of high defaults and high delinquencies, etc., etc. Right? So they give the bank the land as an asset to increase their overall assets and the value of what they have as a business or a company or as a bank. Right? So there's again the government taking from poor people to give to the rich. Right? And nothing back for you, but they're continuously using the poor to buttress the lifestyles of the wealthy and the rich and famous. Because when you look at the financing of these planned so-called projects that are set to be constructed across Barbados, these projects, or few of them, are set to be financed by the Afrexim Bank. So the $50 million loan at Kensington Oval, 7%, $100 million worth of loans to upgrade the Bridgetown Port, $90 million set to finance the Hyatt Hotel. Right? These are 7% loans. So to achieve profitability, the bank was charging 7% to realize profit. And that was before the downgrade. So after the downgrade, common sense will tell you that the bank has to charge more than 7% to maintain profitability. And that will come in the form of higher interest rates above that 7%. Who's going to pay out the money? The taxpayers of Barbados have to pay out in higher interest costs. I like to quote figures, and I like to quote other economists. So the Afrexim Bank, in a tight spot right now, will have to recoup a lot of the financial losses it experienced with the debt restructurings and stuff that is set to go through. And what should alarm us in Barbados is if we discover that the government of Barbados agreed with the Afrexim Bank to what we call hidden or variable clauses that can lead to potential financial bailouts being paid by the people of Barbados to this bank. So a hidden or variable clause is when a bank reserves the right to increase the rate of interest payable to them in the event of any major financial loss on the bank's balance sheet. And Barbados is currently being plagued by variable clauses on these international loans that we borrowed, with interest rates jumping as high as 400%. So you all remember Dr. Kevin Greenwich, Marsha Cadell, Clay Maskell, Avinash Prasad, Mia Motley, the whole team constantly speaking about 1% loans and cheap money. Now those 1% loans have now jumped to 4%, which represents a 400% increase in basis points. And the people of Barbados had to cough that up out of their pockets for the government to be repaying the interest on these loans. And every time there's a major economic shock, these institutions reserve the right to increase that payout to maintain their profitability. So the people of Barbados are the ones who suffer because then you things like cutting salaries and the go as far as say in the same amendment, the resilience and regeneration fund, in that they are further using the funds that the taxpayers put back in that fund to buy government paper because the appetite does not exist on the local market to be buying up these junk bonds that the government restructured. So the government is financing smartly because they are broke and scratching and scraping for every single cent that they are using the money from it in that fund to be buying up government paper. And they put that challenge to Mr. Restaurant to deny that fact. Back to this issue of these variable clauses and hidden clauses. Professor Justin Robinson, and I'm going to quote him. And he said that Barbados increased their payments following a large surge in interest rates is likely to have a significant negative impact on the development plans over the next fiscal year because the increased interest expense will erode funds that could be used for productive projects. And he's correct. He said that the government has spoken to the immorality of these rate increases on the loans from development institutions as distinct from the loans secured on private capital markets, and the urgent need for relief to developing countries facing higher than expected debt service costs. He said that this is an interesting argument and one wishes the government well in its campaign to have relief, as any relief from these high rates will be welcome. However, his fear is that it will be an exceedingly difficult battle to win. So here's Professor Justin Robinson saying that it's a very difficult battle to win in trying to get relief from these banks to take a cut on these interest rates that they're putting on us. So these increases come through the back door. So every time there's an economic shock, the banks increase the interest rates, and then the people are forced to call for a bit more. So this possibility can be happening with the Afrexim Bank. We need to be cautious. We need to be careful. And moving on here, Professor Robinson said that in financial economics, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Inflation has exploded, sending up the cost of living through the roof. Benchmark interest rates have gone up, and the cost for these funds have also exploded. And the cheap loans, while still being the cheapest international money around, has gotten more expensive, and must be serviced in foreign currency. And the reality is that as these rates go up and come down, Barbados is in no real position to benefit from the increases or the, I would say the fluctuation of these rates. And therefore we are in a particular problem as it relates to our habit and the fact that the government excessively borrowed this cheap money. And now this cheap money is turning around to be a noose around the necks of the people of Barbados who now has to be seeking out extra funding or extra taxation and cuts to budgets to be able to fund interest rate increases. My last topic for this evening would be on the issue of crime. Now, I saw the Attorney General this week tabling the fake law And as for the take law, what I will see is that the next law these people will seek to break in Barbados is to say that, well, you can't got dark thing on your car, well, you can't put up curtains in your house because when the police drive by, they're gonna be able to see when they drive past. There's no such thing in Barbados as privacy anymore. So you buy a car with your own money and you can put things on your car. Notwithstanding that some of the things are definitely too dark, right? They are wasting time. They are wasting time in trying to break and enforce these laws. And we are having a murder almost every day or every 2 days in Barbados. This Attorney General has had the highest murder rates ever in the history of Barbados for Attorney General, and he still is Attorney General in Barbados. In 2019, he had 48 murders. In 2020, he had 41 murders. Every year so since he has been the Attorney General, he has gone past the average murder rate of 30 murders every single time. So he has a stellar record of beating the murder rate in Barbados in the history of any Attorney General. And he's still Attorney General to today. And he's bringing take laws to stop the violent murders happening in Barbados. Nothing about gun amnesties, nothing about getting these guns off the street, nothing about tackling the traffickers of these firearms, nothing about scanners at the ports, nothing about increased border security, but you want to put an already understaffed police force on the street for police thing. They said the same thing about the marijuana. You will give them tickets to issue people for smoking marijuana. Ask the Attorney General, has the police force ever issued one single ticket in Barbados for marijuana? The answer is no. So do tell me, Mr. Attorney General, how is the thing issue going to stop crime? And if next you're going to come and tell me that I have to have see-through walls in my house, that the police could come and see me every time I walk past because I would be housing criminals in there. So there's a thin line between peace, security, and borderline dictatorship when you actually erode the rights of the people in the name of security. And we need to walk that line. It's a very thin line, but the people need to be protected, and a strong message needs to be sent to those perpetrators who are terrorizing this place that they will not be allowed to take over Barbados and to stop the citizens of this country and the tourists who come here from enjoying what is a relatively safe island. So outside of the murders, we are seeing the emergence of new types of crime. Because these perpetrators are now interfering with law-abiding citizens. So what are you going to say when the people of Barbados become vigilantes because they're not getting the help from the police? What are you going to say when the people start to arm themselves because these perpetrators are doing home invasions, they're doing carjackings and robbings, and they need to protect themselves? Then you have the emergence of the underground trade in firearms and other weapons for law citizens to protect themselves. Look over in Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, she said that she's going to arm her taxpayer citizens with firearms. Now, I don't know that we need more guns in Barbados. I don't know that we need that. But I am saying her statement alone highlights the problem. A couple months ago, the Attorney General was saying that they know who the criminals are, and they're just a few criminals who are shooting at one another, and no need to fear. And then correlating the Crime Stopper, he said there are only two gangs in Barbados. But now, after they fired the Crime Stopper, they now hire Kurt Humphrey, who had zero, zilch, nothing, nada to say or contribute to the issue of crime sentencing government portfolio. So I will say that this government and this Attorney General has been an abysmal failure on the issue of crime. Although he hired two deputy commissioners of police, illegally hiring them as well, hired a consultant on crime, Mr. Darwin Dunning, and still he has been an abysmal failure. But you know what? When you're on your exit of politics, because he's exiting politics, he's going to be replaced by Mr. Ryan Bradford in St. Joseph. You tend to throw your hands in the air, well, and they kill one another. Nothing to do with him, right? Because he's on his way out. But the people of Barbados still have to face these threats to the security. And I am urging the government to charge forward. Well, we tried that. So there's no urging the government anymore. I'm pleading with the people of Barbados to give the new National Party a chance so that we can step forward and tackle these issues, because the track record of the government, especially as it relates to crime, you can see it is totally disastrous and abysmal. And in every cabinet reshuffle, it has missed the Attorney General. But Prime Minister, for the next cabinet reshuffle, he needs to be the first person shuffled out of the cabinet. I will wrap up saying thank you very much for tuning in. As was said, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we had earlier. And today is a good day anyhow. It is a Sabbath day. And we give thanks for Lord for bringing us here. As I said, this is also Eid season. And we give thanks. A general reminder one more time of our luncheon on the 15th of June at Prerogative House, Prerogative St. George. Please to come out and support us. Lunch should be served from 12. Bring your dad, bring your entire family, and come on out to support us at this luncheon. We are counting on you. We are counting on your support. It is a fundraising event, and therefore we're open to donations to ensure that this event is a successful event. We will also introduce this evening our shadow ministers of government. So I'm going to ask each and every one of these shadow ministers of government to come to the platform and to introduce themselves quickly, so that you, the followers of the NNP and the people of Barbados, and those generally interested persons from around the world who are watching us, that you can meet our new shadow ministers of government who will shadow the different areas, responsibilities. So first and foremost, I am going to introduce to you Mr. Jelani Dotting. He's going to be the spokesperson on agriculture. Agro-economy. Come and say a few words to the.
Hello, good day, good day, good day. How are you? So my name is Jelani Dotting. I'm an entrepreneur in landscaping, and I'm also an importer. I have experience in event management as an event owner. I hold the position within the party as vice chairman, uh, the chairman of the party's St. George North branch, and the shadow minister for agriculture and economy. So, Kimara just spoke about crime, and they want to speak about crime as well too. Just shortly, uh, we have many social aspects which needs to all come together. That's the solution for crime. There's not one solution that we have to do. We have to do a multiple of solutions. And you would have mentioned part of security, and I'll get to that a little further down when I speak on blue economy. Uh, in terms of the plans that the party have. Myself and members of the new national party will participate in a tour on the seas. Basically, a tour where fishermen can tell us everything that happens on the water and stuff like that. And even with the border security, I come to understand that fishermen actually go into other countries, come back um, without a problem, without any intervention. So that's an issue. That's a big issue. And they will work behind the scenes as much as they can on it. So no, there's an issue where I think within government that the government wants to do everything and like control everything. And when you try to take on too many responsibilities and you suppress people, right? You actually force them to have to depend on you. And I don't know if that's a good responsibility or you want or a country want to take on so many small little things. So I think that I would call it hands-on culture, especially during elections. And kind of if you starve persons when there's time for an election or what's not, then you will get a case where whatever you feed to them or give to them, they will accept because they're glad to uh, take it. Because, yeah. So, one of the issues that fishermen have is they need more modern ice machines. Also, within the country, we need hydroponic system setups, and the benefits of hydroponics is less water, 90% less water than traditional farming, and nutrients delivered directly to the roots are directly delivered to the roots, and it reduces waste and runoff, which is good for a water scarce country. But we would, in the future, talk about tackling the whole water scarcity because we can get far with that. Yes, so many benefits that hydroponics have. Me as an importer, I would say to the people, if you want to grow your own stuff at home and you want an easier way rather than the traditional farming, you can contact the party or myself directly. We'll have those even if the government does a hydroponic farm and stuff like that, the people still have to depend on the government. They can't grow their own stuff, which goes back to the dependency that government forces people to have to depend on them. Uh, yes, so it helps with space and efficiency, seeing that you won't have to worry about adhering to wider plant distances. So it's a really great avenue to go down. So please reach out to the NNP and we can work on importing some hydroponic systems in quantity as well too. Because we're a small country, the more people, the better. You can upskill and you get better prices. So I suggest a hydroponic society And I can promise you, based on facts and data, that hydroponics will propel the nation forward very rapidly. And we will be a society of very successful farmers. And mind you, I'm not saying to forget the traditional farming with the land, with arable land, that's very important. But if if we take in efficiency, then that is really important, very, very important. I am open. I am opening the chance now for any registered farmers who has concerns or of new or old issues or innovative plans for the future to reach out to the party, and I can visit, and members of the party can visit and document and figure out channels where we can rectify certain problems or enhance certain strengths that the farm has. That's important for farmers. If you want voice, reach out to us and we will come to your, we will document and we will try our best to rectify. Uh, yes. We start with registered farmers first only, and then we will extend it to all farms. Yes. So just a few stuff within the St. North branch quickly before Kimar comes back. Okay. So we're going to leave the constituencies for now. Yes. So I pledge into Barbados. If the whole thing is basically to be dependent. Being dependent is so important. And I just straying away from using the word decentralized because I don't want to go there as yet. But that's very important. So I would hand back over to Kimarstra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dohin. As he said, he will be the party's new Shadow Minister of Agriculture and Blue Economy. Um, First, I'd like to state that the NNP is providing a new vision to Barbados, new goals to Barbados. Um, we need a new institution bringing new ideas to this country. And I'm just urging persons who would generally be interested in supporting the party that you're very much welcome to make comments about the NNP. However, the NNP also reserves the right to respond as well, right? So just something to think about moving forward. Now, the next person I want to introduce to you is you're going to do the men first. You're going to do the men first. But the next person I want to introduce to you is Mr. Shane Goring. And Mr. Goring, he will come and he will introduce himself, but he will be the shadow minister for the area of sports. So without further ado, I introduce Mr. Shane Goring to you.
Good evening. My name is Che Roy, and I'm proud to stand before you as Shadow Minister of Sports for the new National Party, NNP. The NNP is a party that stands for the people, progress, and practical solutions. Our leader, Mr. Kimar Stewart, has made it clear Barbados is in urgent need of new strategies to reduce crime. And I believe that sports must be part of that solution. As Shadow Minister of Sports, I see firsthand how young people across this country are full of energy, talent, and ambition, but without access to positive outlets like sports. Too many of them are falling into crime, not because they don't want, because they want to, sorry, but because they feel they have no other option. My vision is to bring back structure purpose, and hope through sports. That means rebuilding playing fields, launching after-school programs, creating community leagues, and investing in youth development initiatives that give young people a reason to believe in themselves again. Sports teaches discipline. It teaches respect. It gives our youth something to train for, fight for, and dream about daily. Every dollar we invest in sports is a dollar we save in the courtrooms, police stations, and especially prisons. Under the leadership of Kimarstra and the NNP, we are just not pointing out the problems. We are also representing the solutions. And I, Shea Boyd, I'm ready to work, ready to serve, and ready to be part of a movement that is direct change for this nation. From crime and hopelessness to purpose, pride, and progression. I stand before you not just as a candidate, but the voice of the youth of Barbados, ready to fight for better under the NNP. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. I hope you're hearing. I hope you're hearing. I hope you're hearing. I hope you're hearing the passion that we are bringing to the people of Barbados. New faces, a new vision, new energy, new strength. I don't want to thank Mr. Gori for putting his hand up. Sports is an area ironically managed by the representative of the constituency that I intend to represent next election, that is John. I would have questioned recently, before I look in Barbados, they would have questioned the timing of the receipt of those title deeds happening at Welch in St. John. And ironically, it was correct. They tried to question it because today those residents are now facing land tax bills. So they gave them the deeds, and now the turnaround gave them the bill. So that is what it was all about. So Mr. Minister of Sport, who continues to make sport, people in Welch and in St. John, well, your time is drawing near where the people will make sport at you come next election. With that being said, I want to welcome the next Shadow Minister of Government. She is a strong woman, a strong female. Some of you may know her from previous public engagements. However, she now be representing the NNP as the Shadow Minister for the area of community empowerment and environment. So I want to welcome Ms. Enlu Freer to the podium and ask Ms. Freer to say a few words to the people of Barbados about her journey with the NNP and what she looks forward to doing for the people in this country.
Good afternoon. My name is Enlu Freer. I'm currently the treasurer for the New National Party, and I am also the Shadow Minister for Community Empowerment and the Environment. I'm currently the owner of Networks Electronics and Computer Services, 21 years. And mother of two, certified first aider, auxiliary nurse for 23 years. I am the treasurer of the district university organization for the Middle East and the coordinator of Friends of Bush Hall Community Free Markets and founder of the soon to be Synergy Fund. Today, I stand to present fresh ideas for a fairer, cleaner Barbados. We have many challenges in this society, and we are poised to stand ready to assist Barbadians where we can. You know, there is many issues that is ongoing, and we need some assistance with so many issues. There is issues with housing, issues with persons who are, disenfranchised for whatever reason. And we at the NNP, we genuinely care for people. We generally have a voice. We have that voice and we are maintaining that we will be heard. You know, there's many things called labor relief. I won't go into each area right now. I will say that a new day is dawning for Barbados. A new day is dawning, and you know, you have to look at the fact that yes, we are a young team, but we are a team that is prepared and ready to stand for our country. And fellow Barbadians, government alone cannot transform a nation. Each of us, parents, business owners, youth, elders, we all play a part. So let us choose empathy over apathy, stewardship over litter, empowerment over dependency. And as I said, a new day is dawning for Barbados. We stand ready to turn fresh ideas into firm action. I invite every citizen to walk this path with us towards a fairer, safer, and happier home for all. Thank you so very much, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Priya, for your introduction. Uh, first, let me say, one thing here. The NNP, mostly how Mr. Errol Barrow was the founder, one of the founders of the original Democratic Labour Party. Mr. Barrow was a Barbados Labour Party supporter and a member of Parliament, and he left the Barbados Labour Party to form the Democratic Labour Party. And when the Democratic Labour Party first started, the person said the same things that they could be saying about the NNP. When Mr. Rob Gonzalez formed his party in St. Vincent, many persons said the same thing about Mr. Gonzalez's party. And today, Mr. Gonzalez is one of the longest serving prime ministers in the Caribbean. Today, the Democratic Party in spirits is 70 years old. So for a new institution seeking to emerge, our decision not to continue to support the oppressive system which holds down Barbados, which was put in place by basically both Labour parties, so by both Labour parties, there comes a time in history when a set of people, man and woman, have to make a hard choice and a hard decision to save the future of their country. A part of that hard choice was the formulation of the new national party, right? So as simple as it is that you could one day be a third-rate backbencher in the Barbados Labour Party, and then you get up and you cross the floor now as the leader of the Democratic Labour Party, and then you could cross back the floor tomorrow again if you feel like. We think, right? We think that there comes a time where you have to chart an alternate path and bring alternate ideas, right? And the same way persons might label the NNP as opportunistic, I am saying allow this new party to flourish, allow this new party to introduce new people into the political space, and allow this party to say to the people of Barbados that if you want an option at the polls, here is a new national party. We are not recommending to swipe the Barbados Party off the political map. We are not recommending to swipe the Democratic Labour Party off the political map. But what we are recommending to the people of Barbados is allow us as a new institution to provide an alternative, to provide an option outside of tradition. And I think that that is a simple request. Now, The next shadow minister of government that I want to introduce, her name is Miss Natalie Paris. And Miss Paris will be the spokesperson for the area of education and wellness. So I want to introduce her to say a few words to you personally. So Miss Natalie Paris.
Pleasant good afternoon, all. I'm coming with 25 years experience in program management, educational management, administration and coordination, personal development, and healing modalities. I have also studied toxicology, herbal medicine making, and have done a lot of deep healing work personally as well as professionally. And I feel very passionate about the areas of education and wellness. We are seeing what's going on in our school systems every day. We're hearing reports of crime. We're hearing reports of children not having meals on a day, scuffles within the school system. We're also hearing about issues that are happening with our children and our youth mentally and the environments that they are coming from. And I think that one of the ways we can counter this is by making people more aware of what is going on and finding solutions to better facilitate the environments in which these young people are going in every single day. With respect to wellness, I think that what is needed in the whole social dynamic is more education. We can no longer sit by and just listen to someone tell us to take a particular remedy and think that this is going to just fix the issue. We have to start addressing the roots of matters. We also have to take our own time and do our research. We have to start empowering ourselves. And one of my missions would be to educate, to start helping to educate the public with respect to certain ailments, etc. Ailments don't just come along. Yes, we can catch viruses and whatnot. However, they're usually root causes to these things. I would draw a case in point with respect to an occurrence that happened recently. We had the oil spill that happened a few days ago. And excuse me, I'm just going to take a look at my notes because I made a few notes today to talk about it a little bit. And okay, so we know that the oil spill happened yesterday. Authorities confirmed that the spill was contained, which I commend the authorities for doing that at such short notice. And they also indicated that it did not reach the sea. However, we were receiving reports and videos that indicated that it did spill over to the sea. And significant cleanup was required. Now, I just want to make the public aware of certain impacts that these things can have. And while I am praying and hoping for the best, and so are my colleagues, we need to make ourselves aware and know that to be forearmed is to be forewarned. Now, this happened in a heavily densely populated area. We know that tourists frequent there. We have many fish vendors. People do business around oysters all the time. And even though the spill was contained, certain impacts would happen, marine impacts, fish populations can be impacted, oil contamination can cause toxicity in fish. So when the fishermen go out now to fish and bring back in the catch and then sell it to us, is that going to be pure? Or is it going to contain contaminants which are then going to go inside our bodies and contaminate us to cause disease within our bodies? Okay? So just be mindful of that. With respect to the environment, we have seabirds, you know, that fly and hover over the waters. They dip down and they catch the fish. If that fish is toxic, that bird becomes toxic. And, we've been hearing about certain, diseases or viruses being passed on by various animals, mammals, etc. Sea turtles, our endangered sea turtles, can also be impacted by this, and also other sea mammals. Also, with respect to the habitat destruction, we are already trying to safeguard our very, what should I say, endangered coral reef. And this situation did not help the matter. In addition, we have the issue with the sargassum. We are yet to see how that is going to impact the sargassum, whether it will have any impact at all. I'm not sure. I guess time will tell. And with respect to water quality, sometimes these oils and stuff have a way of seeping into the groundwater and can cause groundwater contamination and also surface water pollution. In addition, the oxygen depletion levels. The oxygen can get depleted if the water becomes contaminated. And we all know that we need oxygen. That's what makes us healthy. With respect to, I heard there was a YouTube video that went around indicating that, the authorities did their job and they cleaned up everything quickly. And as I said, I commend them for that because we've really come a long way with respect to our emergency services. However, we have to remember that there can be long-term effects. While nobody has reported anything as yet, just be mindful and be cognizant that long-term effects can occur from such spills, persistent organic pollutants, some oil components can remain in the environment for years. And no matter how much you scrub down the place, and toxic compounds can concentrate into the chain, as I had indicated before, I explained the scenario with respect to the fish and the birds, etc. And it can also cause ecosystem disruption, changes in species composition, and food web dynamics. Now, I know that I've heard reports already about people seeing things in the water that are kind of mutated from what they were. I think the lionfish might be one of those to date. I stand corrected if I'm not right, but we have had reports of certain sea life being mutated. With respect to us, us human beings, and the human health impacts that may occur, given that we're in the highly populated area. Health concerns are significant. Such concerns like respiratory effects, coughing, throat irritation, shortness of breath from hydrocarbon, carbon vapors, that type of thing. Chronic exposure would be development of asthma or worsening of existing respiratory conditions. And we have to be mindful and keep a watch on our vulnerable populations, which would be children, elders, and the elderly, and those with pre-existing lung conditions. Because these are the populations that would be considered at high risk. A few other things that could impact. Okay, I've been asked to wrap up quickly, so I'm just going to say quickly a few other things that can impact would be skin irritation, neurological impacts, gastrointestinal effects, and so I am urging you to just be cognizant and to do your research. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. I'm going to do my best with the help of my colleagues to start educating on some of these matters to make it a little bit easier for you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes. So how refreshing it is to hear these four young giants that are on the way into Barbadian politics to assist in charting a new development path for the country. We heard each of them giving a brief vision as to how they see politics in Barbados. We're going to roll out more persons along the way. We're going to roll out more persons along the way um, to match the agenda of the party. So to recap again, we have Mr. Jelani Dotte, who's the Shadow Minister of Agriculture and Blue Economy. We have Mr. Shea Gorin, who's going to be Shadow Minister of Sports. Ms. Elu Freer, who's going to be the Shadow Minister of Community Empowerment and Environment. And Ms. Natalie Paris, who is going to be the Shadow Minister of Education and Wellness. As you guys know, I with shadow areas of the economy and general governance. So that would be our 5 spokespersons. So we have publicly disseminated information that you can follow up with our spokespersons. And I just want to express my gratitude to the executive for posing the confidence in these persons. I also like to express gratitude to the people of Barbados who continue to support the new national party. NNP's doors are open for candidates. We are open for additional spokespersons. We have some more spokespersons to approve, and then we're going to get our candidate selection on the way. So even those persons who are on the list who may not be totally convinced as yet, who may still be Democratic Labour Party sympathizers, or who may still be Barbados Party sympathizers, I'm here to say to you that there is another option. There is an alternative. And nobody's cutting anybody's vote. Nobody is trying to cut down any DLP vote. And nobody. This is nothing to do with the Barbados Labour Party or the Democratic Labour Party. So much so, you know what? I don't know what it's here.
Thank you, Mr. Political Leader, Mr. Kimar Stewart. What you heard today is more than just title and names. You have heard an outline of real alternative. The new National Party is not waiting for election season to start working. We are building now. We are preparing now. We are engaging with people now. Our shadow ministers will activate. They will be listening, researching, advocating, and speaking out on issues that matter. Whether it's the high cost of living, the broken healthcare system, crime and security, agriculture, or education and wellness, we will not be silent. We will not be still. We will not play dead while our country is crying out. To the media, thank you for being here. We urge you to continue doing what free press does best. Hold all parties accountable, ask the tough questions, and help inform the public. To the people of Barbados, the new National Party is here. We are with you and will not stop until we see better Barbados rise. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless Barbados and the National Party. Now, what I don't want to let you all know, I didn't want to really say it here because